So let's just jump into it. You download LogZero on the iOS App Store, link in the description, for free, of course. And you go to the dashboard. So the dashboard is something at a glance that I needed in my life. I wanted to be able to see the factors, the activities that impacted my mood and my health the most at a glance any given time throughout the day, and see my progress towards the goals that I had set in order to accomplish long-term health or long-term productivity related initiatives. So dashboard is your at a glance, what do I need to do and what have I done? And you'll see that there's at a glance up here in terms of goals. There are streaks showing me how many days in a row I have contributed to these different modules. We call them modules in the LogZero application. And you can see a week over week diff telling me if I'm trending in a particular direction or not. Next, of course, there's trend charts, some of the best trend charts I think in this application in the whole tracker industry. And I'm not even going to talk about the trend charts right now on LogZero. We'll go over the configuration. Everything in LogZero is highly, highly configurable. Make it your own. Choose the widgets you want on the home screen. Choose the charts you want to display on the home screen. But the dashboard is really the high-level glance of what's going on in this app, but it's not the meat of the app. So let's go to food tracking. If you're thinking of your health, you're thinking about your mental health, you're even thinking about your productivity, there's 3 things you need to optimize: sleep, food, and exercise. Those are the top 3. And food is critical because food is broken into a lot of components and most people don't know what they're putting in their body. So the food tracker, much like other food and macro tracker apps, allows you to track calories, protein, and other macronutrients. You can configure the ones you want here. You got all your macros. In the macros section, you have all your micros in the micros section. You can also track caffeine and folate and vitamins in the other section. And you can show different charts and graphs depending on how you want your tracker laid out. Do you want to track this goal or ignore the goal? Do you want to show the goal on the home screen? Do you want to show a chart below the module? And you can my goal here was to make it so you could just access everything really quickly. So for me, I like to read a label, log in, tap in 100 calories, 10 calories. Maybe I edit this right here, make it 250. That's a manual entry. And manual entries, that's not for everyone. Some people think it takes a long time. So my thought was, this is an entirely offline application. What can I implement offline in order to really speed up the process? Well, when you talk about an offline app, most of the apps that let you take photos of your food and such, first of all, I tested them. Even with the most powerful models available, they're extremely inaccurate. They don't know how much oil's in a broth, and oil is obviously much more calorie dense than water. So you take a picture of a phone, it's going to give you an approximation that can be off by anywhere up to like 40% in each of these macronutrient categories. So that's not actually a great way to track what you're consuming in your body. But there's other ways that you can track quickly. For one, most people actually eat similar foods every day. So creating a food in LogZero is very simple. You fill out name, description, calories, proteins, carbs, etc. And you can enable other macros in the settings to add to here. So you can have all your macros, micros, etc. in a recipe. I'm calling it a food, but it's a recipe. And then you can log it with just one click. There, I added a cup of soy milk, cup and a half. So this is one of the fastest patterns that I've discovered for actually accurately logging your calories, macronutrients, micronutrients. Next, label scanning. I was able to, after quite a bit of research, figure out how to fit some advanced features into LogZero that run on your iPhone rather than running in a server, so your privacy and security of your data are still guaranteed. So in LogZero, you can scan a label, and it will use on-device image recognition, text recognition libraries provided by Apple on iOS 16.4 Plus. In a future update, I think I'm going to be able to fit barcode scanning into this application as well. And those two are highly accurate compared to the inaccurate feature of taking a picture of a photo and approximating your calories. And you can do them all. I believe you can do both of them on device, and label scanning is currently on device in LogZero, one of the first iOS apps to do this on device that I am aware of. Now, I just want to point something out. Everything in LogZero is time series. So if you see the picker up here, you have today. This is a date picker, and you can always go back retroactively and you can say, like, what was I eating on Monday the 15th? Or how much did I exercise and what type of exercise did I do when I felt really good a month and a half ago? And this is the goal of LogZero. It's not just about recording what you do every day. It's also about drawing insights, and we'll get to that soon. So we have food. Another factor right outside of the top 3 is meditation. Meditation is very much proven by science to have a lot of impacts, and in my experience, meditating every day gives me impact on both my mood and my well-being. Sometimes I think it actually physically impacts me. It improves my physical health by eliminating some of that stress and tension that is held in my body. So there's a meditation tracker in here. It is a little bit rudimentary, but it does exactly what you need, and importantly, it stores the data on device so that we can draw a correlation from it later. Now, there is a very interesting feature that I've added, I think a lot of you will get benefit from, which is the binaural beats feature in the audio library. So if you click on any of these info icons in LogZero, you'll get more information in regards to what's going on. Well, binaural beats are an auditory illusion that is becoming very popular for meditators for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's continually being backed by science. There's something called brain entrainment. You put one tone in the left ear, you put one tone in the right ear, and you can make mild adjustments over time listening to this for 10 or 15 minutes into your mental status, into your mood. And what I've included in LogZero for the time being are really the most scientifically backed frequencies for binaural beats in terms of impact to your mood. We have the delta tone with some white noise in the background. That's 2 hertz difference between your left and right ear. We have the 6, 7.83, and 10, which are tone differences that you can play in your ears and really help you a bit with focus, and people think they get deeper meditation with them. And then of course we have the ones that are entirely geared at focus and alertness, which is the beta and gamma frequencies. And you can do your own research on these online, but typically playing these with a stereo headphone for about 10 to 20 minutes, record your mood before, record your mood afterwards. I think most people actually notice a substantial difference in their mood. Not the amount that you get from medication, but I think the evidence shows it is measurable. So that's something to play around with if you decide you want to try LogZero. Now, going on to exercise. So I said the big 3 for health, for your mood, are typically exercise, sleep, and food. And exercise is really important because it's very difficult to understand how much you're exercising and if you're exercising or not, or enough or not. So in the exercise module within LogZero's, again, everything is time series, so you can always go back in time and see what you've been doing on prior days. There's a few functionalities that are baked into this. So number 1, workouts. Most people are doing similar workouts. They're not often jumping from one type of workout to another. And so what I have here is I've used a scientifically validated system called MET, which I cannot find used in a lot of other tracker applications, but I wanted to expose to the user of LogZero the ability to use MET calculations to determine how many calories they're burning. So as you can see, we have built-in very common exercises here, and then you can add your own custom workouts here with your own MET score. Again, click the info icon. It will explain what a MET is. It's a metabolic equivalent. And in LogZero, your calories burnt are determined by MET times your body weight times your duration, which is really accurate, especially when you consider that LogZero also tracks weight. So whenever you log a exercise, a workout, it will determine your calories burnt using the MET algorithm and your most recent prior weight log. So if you go back in time, if you have a 30-minute hike today, it's going to show different calories burnt than a 30-minute hike 1 month ago when you weighed 20 pounds more, because anytime you log, it's looking for the most recent weight entry relative to the workout entry. And of course, you can just click workouts here and you can add your own workout. Now we scroll down, you have your 7-day rolling average charts. 7-day rolling averages are amazing. A lot of applications don't show these, but when it comes to your health, it doesn't really matter what you do day to day in a lot of cases. Let's just say you're trying to lose weight. Well, if you eat 3,000 calories a day, you might say, oh no, I'm not losing weight this week. But really what matters is what's your 7-day rolling average. If your 7-day rolling average is still below your target for gaining weight and you've calculated your target for gaining weight correctly, you're still going to lose weight in that week. The same works for exercise. And this gives you insights into, am I exercising enough even if you have to take a day off for work or something akin to that? And now, of course, there's calories burned using that MET algorithm as well. And exercise is highly configurable. It also supports Apple Health. So for those of you who have smart devices, smart scales, Apple Watches, or any of the smart rings, as long as they integrate with Apple Health, LogZero can draw the data directly from them if you give it the correct permissions, and it will sync in the background periodically. It's very low impact on your device hardware resource consumption. And then you can have, at a glance, all the insights you want from LogZero and all the conclusions without having to actually go in and log. Good feature. Now, on a day-to-day basis, there are a lot of things that anyone has to do to stay productive, to stay healthy. And so in LogZero, I've built in a lightweight, very easy to use to-do list application. I'm not going to go into too much detail into this. I think it's essential to have here because if you want one app basically run your entire life off of, you need to have some way of recording what you need to buy at the grocery store, for example. And there's quite a few features baked into this. It's more advanced than you'd expect, but I think everybody already knows what a to-do app is. And so I'm not going to go into detail, but you can consider the feature set to be on its way to approaching parity with other applications in this category, minus the server component, which LogZero does not send any data to a server. So some of the cross-user device syncing and sharing might have to wait until a future iteration if it's even possible to implement that type of functionality peer-to-peer. Don't know if it's ever going to happen. But for now, it's what you need every day to run your life. And jumping to medications, very important. Now, this is all synthetic data. I don't actually take all these vitamins, but for, a lot of people, as they get older, they get more health issues. They need to be able to track what medications they're taking. But beyond that, they need to take medications at certain times and at certain intervals. So medication tracker is one of the more complex trackers in LogZero. It gives the ability to choose medications. You can choose when you take them, what intervals you take them on. You can highly configure your notifications, and you can even set up prescription renewals. So if we jump to configure here, you'll see we can customize notifications for all your medications. We can set up prescription renewals, which are pretty configurable actually. So you can decide when you want alerted for your prescriptions, what recurrence your prescription interval should be, what dates they should occur on, and so on and so forth. Very useful if you have prescription medication. You can also track each of your adherence to your medications individually, as you can see down here, which is important because our final module, the correlation module, correlates all your modules together and can tell you things like on the days you missed a certain medication, well, that's a day when your mood was significantly lower or perhaps higher. So this is very useful, I've found in my life, to have all of these different, what I'm calling modules, tied into one application so I can draw correlations between all of them versus having, let's just say, 8 different applications and no way to draw correlations between them aside from exporting the data and running, analysis in my. So jumping forwards, we have a mood tracker. Mood tracker does what you would expect. Other mood trackers offer you a 5-point mood scale. It offers 5-point mood scale, but it also correlates with emotions, and it also correlates with recent activities. This allows you to draw more insights in regard to what is impacting your mood. Very, very important. Actually, don't download any mood tracker application that does not allow you to associate your emotions and your activities and conditions, because then you're just basically having a journal that you could do on paper. There's not much of a benefit of having an app for that. Of course, you can track your mood over time. You can add notes. So right here, recording LogZero video. So you can use this as kind of a journal, and you can put information in regards to what is impacting your mood if it's outside of the emotions and activities. Again, we have a weight tracker, syncs with Apple Health, allows you to record your weight. Very simple. You can see weight trend chart over time. Everything is time sequence in LogZero. And finally, one of the most important modules, the correlation module. Save the best for last. This is one of the bread and butter features of LogZero. Because LogZero is a multi-tracker, it is capable of drawing statistical insights from all of your other modules and data. And the main insights I'm drawing for now are mood and weight, but as time goes on and as I get more feedback from readers, I'll see if there's other ways to accurately get statistical information that can be used to build you insights into how to live your life. So for example, right now, you can see based on all the data in this application, there is a weak correlation with exercise and mood on the same day. And it's saying on days where you have higher daily mood, you tend to exercise more, which is, of course, generally speaking, that is true. And then next day, very important, for a lot of these I'm drawing next day correlations. Interestingly enough, the day after a high amount of exercise, there is a moderate improvement in mood. Now, everything that you see in LogZero, all of the math, all the data, I don't present it up front, but instead I let you click into it. So if you just want, at a glance, you don't want to understand how these statistics are calculated, just look at the trend chart. If you want to have more information on how all of these are calculated, all the calculations are provided for you. Most of these are Pearson R. It's a very standard set of statistical correlations and algorithms for statistical correlation, just implemented in a very user-friendly way. Again, we can see how is meditation improving the mood of the user, or we can look at what activities are correlating. So right here we can see social media is used on days with below average mood. Interesting, who could have guessed that? But relaxation outside in nature, those correlations come on days with high mood. Medications. What medications are impacting your mood and in what ways? Again, what ways are your weight being impacted by the other modules? Well, you can see right here, there's different exercise levels correlated with, of course, your weight change. So you can determine where the diminishing return curve comes in for how much you should exercise if your goal is weight loss. Again, depending on the amount of data you have and the more data you add, the more consecutively you add data to this app, at the same times a day in particular, you'll get more and more relevant insights appearing in your correlation module. So here's calorie intake to weekly weight change. It's saying days with higher calorie intake tend to be followed by weight gain the next week. Not surprising, but you can actually click in on this and you can look at the weight change given a certain set of calories. So you can click into every single one of these charts, get additional insights. You can see how every single chart and graph in the correlation module is calculated. And you can start drawing insights on how to improve your life in terms of your movement and your health from this one single application that's entirely offline and keeps your data private and secure. And there are more charts that you can enable in settings here, but for the purpose of this video, I'm going to cut it here and I'm going to say, go download the application. LogZero is free on the iOS App Store. Try it for yourself. You need probably somewhere around 4 to 6 weeks of data if you want to start getting good correlations from LogZero, but that's not that hard to get. And for a free application, you're welcome to try it. Now, there are some pro features in here in subscription. There's some additional pro features that you can always access. I've decided to go with an extremely transparent subscription model. The whole entire business model for this application is $5 a month, $35 a year. And currently it's discounted for lifetime membership. If you don't want a subscription, you can get a lifetime membership for $99 for the rest of your life, as long as this application is still in production. And it's no dark patterns. We're not doing any $49.99s and rounding for psychological tricks. It's just one membership. There's no microtransactions, just one membership. You get all the pro features. No other. I've even explicitly outlined that in the application. No other business model. Just a simple, straightforward, transparent membership. Now you get a bunch of privacy and security features, like, for example, you get app lock. You enable this, you can cause your app to log with either biometrics through iOS or through a passcode. You get privacy, security guarantees, various ways of managing your data, including like encrypted exports, and a lot of configuration options for each of these modules. And this is just the first version of the application. I wanted to show you guys this application because I think it's really awesome. I actually think it's a great app. I use it every single day. And I built it for myself. I started using it for myself. I wasn't even sure if I was going to put it on the App Store, but it's really improved my life so much. And I think it can improve your life just as much as it's improved mine. And I think the way that I built this, my goal in mind was, not to capitalize on it aggressively, and instead just to share it with as many people as possible. So beyond being safe and secure and valuable, providing valuable insights and helping people to run their lives more effectively, the application, I think, is also very ethical in the way that it's presented and in its business model, and even in the way that the UI is designed. So if that's what you're looking for, check out LogZero on the iOS App Store, and I will link more information below this video. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.